The medical crisis hit the Ethran royal palace without warning. Queen Solara collapsed during a routine state function, her condition deteriorating so rapidly that even the palace's advanced medical technology couldn't stabilize her. The royal physicians worked frantically, running diagnostics and attempting treatments that should have worked but didn't. The diagnosis was grim: Cathara's decline, a rare genetic condition that caused catastrophic immune system failure. Ethran medical science had treatments, but they required specific biological compounds that weren't available in sufficient quantities on such short notice. Without immediate intervention, the Queen would die within hours. Human Special Forces medic Sergeant David Torres was present at the palace as part of a coalition security detail. When he overheard the physicians discussing the crisis, something in their technical descriptions caught his attention. He approached the senior physician with a suggestion that was met with immediate skepticism. "The compounds you need, human blood contains analogs that might substitute. Our immune systems produce similar proteins under stress conditions. It's not exact, but it might buy time until you can synthesize proper treatments." The physician stared at him. "Human blood? We've never attempted cross-species transfusion with humans. The risks are less than certain death," David interrupted. "I'm O-negative universal donor. If you can adapt your equipment for human physiology, I can provide blood immediately while you work on synthesizing proper compounds." The physician looked at Queen Solara's critical vitals, then at David. "This could kill you both. Human blood in Ethran physiology could trigger catastrophic rejection. Or it could save her life," David said firmly. "We're wasting time debating. Set up the transfusion." The emergency transfusion was unlike anything the Ethran medical staff had attempted. They adapted their equipment hastily, connected David to Queen Solara through improvised medical interfaces, and monitored both patients with desperate intensity. David felt the blood leaving his body, watched his own vitals drop to dangerous levels, while the physicians divided their attention between keeping him alive and observing Solara's response to the human blood now flowing through her system. For terrifying minutes, nothing seemed to change. Then Solara's vitals began to stabilize, slowly at first, then with increasing strength. The human blood compounds were working, providing the immune support her failing system desperately needed. The physicians worked through the night, using the time David's sacrifice bought them to synthesize proper Ethran compounds. By dawn, they'd successfully transitioned Solara from human blood support to species-appropriate treatment. David was moved to recovery, severely weakened from blood loss but stable. The physicians assured him he'd saved the Queen's life, that without his immediate intervention she wouldn't have survived long enough for proper treatment to be prepared. What they didn't tell him, because they didn't yet understand it themselves, was what else his blood had done. When Solara finally regained full consciousness 2 days later, her first words were, "Where is he? Where is the human who saved me?" The physicians explained that Sergeant Torres was recovering in medical quarters, that he'd been unconscious most of the past 2 days from the severity of blood loss he'd endured to keep her alive. "Bring him here," Solara commanded. "I need to see him immediately." "Your Majesty, he's not yet stable enough to be moved." "Then I will go to him," Solara said, attempting to rise from her medical bed despite obvious weakness. The physicians tried to convince her to remain in recovery, but Solara was insistent. They finally conceded, helping her to David's medical quarters. When Solara entered David's recovery room, he was awake but clearly still weak, his vitals showing he'd given far more blood than was safe for his survival. "Your Majesty," David said, attempting to sit up respectfully, "you shouldn't be out of recovery." "Nor should you," Solara interrupted, moving to sit beside his medical bed. "Yet here we both are, alive because you risked your life for mine without hesitation or calculation." She looked at him with intensity that suggested she was processing something profound. "Do you understand what you did? Beyond the immediate act of saving my life, I gave you blood until your physicians could synthesize proper treatment, David said. Standard emergency medical response when time is critical and resources are limited. You gave me your blood, Solara corrected. Your life essence flowing into me, sustaining me when my own body had failed. Among my people, such an act creates Kathara Velsura, the bond of shared life. When someone gives their own vitality to save another at risk of their own death, it creates connection that transcends normal obligations. She placed her hand gently on his arm. Your blood is now part of me. My physicians say it will take months before my body fully processes and replaces what you gave me. Until then, and perhaps beyond, we are connected through the most intimate act possible. You literally kept me alive with your own life force. I was just doing what any medic would do, David protested weakly. You risked your life for someone you barely knew, gave blood until you were dangerously close to death yourself, purely to save someone you had no obligation to save, Solara said. That sacrifice creates debt I cannot repay and bond I cannot deny. Over the following days, as both David and Solara recovered, palace staff discovered something unprecedented. The queen refused to be separated from the human who'd saved her. She insisted her recovery chambers be adjacent to his. She visited him multiple times daily despite her own weakness. When advisors suggested she should return to normal duties and allow David to recover privately, she dismissed their concerns. He gave me his blood, Solara said simply. Until I am certain he has recovered fully from that sacrifice, I will remain where I can ensure his well-being. The senior palace advisor approached David during one of Solara's brief absences, clearly concerned. Sergeant Torres, you may not fully understand what your actions have triggered. The Kathara Velsura, the bond of shared life, is not merely gratitude. Among our people, it creates connection that the Queen is bound to honor above almost all other obligations. She's just ensuring I recover properly, David said. She is refusing to leave your side, the advisor corrected. She has postponed state functions, dismissed diplomatic meetings, and made clear that your recovery takes priority over all other responsibilities. This is unprecedented behavior that her court is struggling to understand. The advisor paused. The bond you created through your blood sacrifice means the Queen perceives your well-being as directly connected to her own. Until she is satisfied you have fully recovered, she will not resume normal duties. This is not choice. It is compulsion created by ancient biological responses to shared life essence. When Solara returned and overheard the last part of this conversation, she didn't deny it. He is correct. The Kathara Velsura creates obligation I cannot dismiss. You gave me your blood, your life essence, to save me. That sacrifice has bound us through connection that transcend conscious choice. She looked at David directly. I cannot bear to be separated from you because your blood flows through me, because my survival was bought with your willing sacrifice, because the bond created through shared life makes your well-being feel as important as my own survival. Your Majesty, I don't want to disrupt your responsibilities, David started. You saved my life, Solara interrupted. That action created responsibilities that supersede my normal duties. I will not apologize for prioritizing the well-being of someone who sacrificed so much to ensure my survival. Over the following months, as both recovered fully and the immediate crisis passed, the bond between them remained undeniable. Solara continued to seek David's presence, to ensure his needs were met, to demonstrate through consistent action that the debt she owed him was not something she would ever dismiss or diminish. During a private conversation, she explained more fully. When you gave me your blood, you didn't just save my life medically. You demonstrated character that most people only claim to possess, willingness to sacrifice yourself for another without calculation or expectation of reward. That character is what the Kathara Velsura recognizes and binds me to honor. I was just being a medic, David said. You were being someone worthy of absolute trust and loyalty, Solara corrected. You risked your life for mine without knowing me, without knowing if I deserved such sacrifice, purely from compassion and duty. That character created bond I choose to honor not from obligation, but from genuine recognition that you are someone worth being bound to. She paused. My refusal to leave your side isn't just biological compulsion. It's conscious choice to honor someone who demonstrated they deserve such loyalty. You gave me your blood and nearly died doing so. I will spend however long necessary ensuring you understand that such sacrifice was recognized, valued, and will be honored for as long as I live. Some bonds are formed through political alliance and strategic calculation, some through shared experiences and mutual understanding, and some are created through blood given freely in desperate circumstances, proving that the most unbreakable connections form when someone literally gives their life essence to save another, demonstrating through ultimate sacrifice that compassion transcends species, calculation, and self-preservation. The medic who gave his blood discovered that saving someone's life through direct sacrifice creates recognition that conscious choice can never replicate. Because sharing life essence creates bonds, biological and emotional, that make separation feel impossible, transforming medical intervention into